So, I haven't read this series in a couple of years, and I usually read it on a yearly basis, go through the whole series at least once. But because of the YouTube channel, I reviewed it in 2023, and I was lost in 2024 trying to figure out a way to do the series again because it's my comfort series. And especially this time, I need my comfort series. I finished some other series, I wrapped them up. I need my comfort series. So, welcome to the D. Louise book series. I'm Christina, K-O-S-T-I-N-A. This is where I read books, talk about books, no special effects, no theme music, none of that fancy stuff going on here. So, my favorite, and I didn't realize how many of these I had until I started pulling them out. So, we started with book 1, Naked in Death. Now, I have all of these books in audio too, but I left those upstairs because I didn't want to carry. I was seriously considering swiping out the 2 series, but I decided I'm going to do 10 groups of 10. So we have Naked in Death. But while I was doing that, I found this Naked in Death. This is one of the early covers. When we read that the other day. And then we have Glory in Death. And we just did Immortal in Death last week. And there's another one, isn't there? There's another one somewhere. And today we are doing, get this, I can do this. I need more hands. Now, is that overkill or what? I'm serious. I can't hold these. Rapture in Death. We'll do these next week. And Sarah, wait a minute. We're doing Rapture today. What am I saying? Ceremony in Death. And Vengeance in Death. Then Holiday in Death. And oh, I forgot Midnight. I'll have to get Midnight. It's up on a CD. And Conspiracy in Death. Oh, wait a minute. I have another Vengeance. And Loyalty in Death. And the 10th is Witness. So we'll get to those. But today we are reading Rapture in Death. I need to figure out how to get a picture. And we get one new character in this book, one new permanent addition to the cast. And I have to go back and look. I looked twice, and maybe I missed it. But for the fact he becomes a major character, a front and center character in later books, he doesn't get the lines of introduction that some of the other characters have gotten, and I was surprised at that. She just starts talking to him. He's the head coroner, blah blah blah. But there's no additional details of how good he is or his right. Nothing like that. Not his official thing. So I was really kind of surprised. I remembered it differently. So I was kind of surprised. So Eve is a lieutenant in the New York City Police and Security Department. Her husband is Rourke. Her best friend is Mavis. Mavis's partner is Leonardo. We have Crack. He's the owner of the Down and Dirty. We have Nadine. She's a reporter at Channel 75 thus far. We have Dr. Mira. We have Captain Feeney, her former mentor, and he is the captain of the Electronics Division Department. Galahad, of course, is our cat. Peabody. We gained Peabody the other couple books ago. And Dr. Morris is our new character. And then, of course, BERENSKI, Dickhead. So, while we solve this case, I just like to share the characters with you. I will put my other review in the description, so if you'd like to go back and see my full review of the book, you can check that out. It's from 2023, like I said previously, but today I'm reading excerpts from the book. I'm sharing my love of these books with y'all. So I hope you will join me each week as we read through all of these books. By the time I finish, there'll be 64 books in this series by the time I finish this. And hopefully she will have written the next two, so there may be 66. So, Eve and Rourke have gotten married, and she's returned after her honeymoon back to New York. 3 weeks hadn't changed Cop Central. The coffee was still poisonous and the noise abominable, and the view out of her stingy window was still miserable. She was thrilled to be back. I will give you a heads up. The window will never change. Her visitor's chair will never change. We will never learn the identity of the candy thief. Fans will petition, argue, that we know the reason why Eve doesn't want a decent visitor's chair, because she doesn't want people staying a length of time. However, I think it's unfair to her visitors, especially when a high-ranking person comes in. That's why Eve sacrifices her chair to the high-ranking individual when they come in. Because she is a comfy chair. And we have argued this to death, that she needs a new visitor's chair. And she's solid firm on the fact that she doesn't need one because she doesn't want people staying too long in her office. However, the rest of us have argued that the progression of the series, it would only show courtesy to have a better chair. It doesn't have to be, it could be a folding chair, for crying out loud, as long as it wasn't sticking people and the springs weren't loose. We've argued this point to death. So anyways, the cops in her unit had arranged for a message to await her. Since it was blinking slightly on her monitor when she walked in, she figured she had her old pal Feeny, the electronic wizard, to thank for bypassing her code. Welcome back, Lieutenant Lovejoy. Hubba hubba. Hubba hubba. She snorted out a laugh. Sophomore humor maybe, but it made her feel at home. She glanced over the mess on her desk. She hadn't had time to clear up anything between the unexpected closing of a case during her bachelor party and the wedding day, but she noted the neatly sealed disc, completely labeled, sitting atop her stack of old work. That would be Peabody's doing, Eve concluded. Sliding the disc into her desk unit, she cursed once and slapped the drive to cure the wrapping hiccups it admitted, and that the ever-reliable Peabody had indeed written the arrest report, filled it, and logged it. It couldn't, Eve mused, have been easy on her. not when she'd been sharing a bed with the accused. Eve glanced at the old work again, grimaced. She could see she had court dates stuffed and layered together over the next few days. The scheduled juggling she had to do to accommodate Rourke's demand for 3 weeks away had a price. It was time to pay up. Well, he'd done plenty of juggling as well, she reminded herself, and it was back to work and reality. Rather than review the cases she would soon give testimony for, she bumped up a link and put on a search for Officer Peabody. The familiar, serious face with its dark helmet of hair fizzed onto her monitor. "Sir, welcome back, sir." "Thank you, Peabody. My office, please, ASAP." Without waiting for reply, Eve switched off the unit and smiled to herself. She'd seen to it that Peabody had been transferred to the homicide division. Now she intended to take it a bit further. She engaged the link again. "Lieutenant Dallas, is the commander free?" "Lieutenant," the commander's secretary beamed at her. "How was your honeymoon?" "It was nice." She felt the quick flush of heat at the gleam in the woman's eyes. Hubba Hubba had amused her. This dreamy look made her want to squirm. "Thank you. You were a lovely bride, Lieutenant. I saw the pictures and there were several news runs on the event and the gossip channels were full of it. We saw clips of you in Paris, too. It looked so romantic." "Yeah, the price of fame," Eve thought. "And rock. It was nice. The commander?" Of course. One moment, please." As the unit buzzed, Eve rolled her eyes. She could accept being in the spotlight, but she was never going to enjoy it. "Dallas." Commander Whitney's grin was an acre wide. He had an old look on his hard, dark face. "You look well. Thank you, sir. You enjoy your honeymoon?" Christ, she thought. When was someone going to ask if she enjoyed being something around the world and into outer space? "Yes, sir. Thank you. I assume you already read Officer Peabody's report on the closing of the Pandora case." "Yes, very complete. The PA is going for the maximum on Castro. You ran a close one there, Lieutenant." She was very well aware how close she'd come to not only missing her wedding day, but the rest of her life. "It stings when it's another cop," she said. "I was rushed, sir, and only had time to give you my recommendation for Peabody's transfer permanently to my unit. Her assistance in this matter and others has been invaluable." "She's a good cop," Whitney agreed. "I agree. I have a request, Commander." 5 minutes later, when Peabody stepped into her crammed office, Eve was tipped back in a chair, scanning the data on her monitor. "I've got court in an hour," Eve said without preliminary. "On the Salvatore case. What do you know about the case?" She goes to the case. Peabody recited the data matter-of-factly while she stood at attention in her ship-shape uniform. "Very good, officer. Did you read my arrest report on the case?" "Yes, Lieutenant, I did." Eve nodded. An Airbus zoomed by the window, spewing noise and displacing air. "Then you know that before I restrained Salvatore, I broke his left arm at the elbow, his jaw, and relieved him of several teeth. His lawyers are going to try to fry me for excessive force." "You'll have a rough time of that, sir, as he was trying to burn down the building around you when you cornered him. If you hadn't restrained him in whatever manner was possible, he'd have been fried, so to speak." "Okay, Peabody. I've got this and several others to go over before the week's up. I need all the cases on my court schedule downloaded and condensed. You can meet me with the requested data in 30 minutes. Exit east." "Sir, I'm on assignment. Detective Crouch has me chasing down vehicle registrations." Only the faintest sneer in her voice indicated Peabody's feeling about Crouch and the garage assignment. "I'll handle Crouch. The commander's cleared my request. You're assigned to me. So pass off whatever grunt work that's been dumped on you and get your ass in gear." Peabody blinked. "Assigned to you, sir? Your hearing go bad while I was away?" "No, sir, but—" "Have you got a thing for Crouch?" It delighted Eve to see Peabody's serious mouth drop open. "Are you kidding? She caught herself, stiffened up. "He's hardly my type, Lieutenant. I believe I've learned my lesson about romantic attachments on the job." That's going to be an issue in later books. It's going to be an issue, and it's going to be the reason why we, the readers, are tortured for several books with McNabb. Um, uh, don't beat yourself up over that one, Peabody. I like Castor too. You did a hell of a job on that one. It helped to hear it, but the wound was still raw. Thank you, Lieutenant. Which is why you are now assigned to me as my permanent aide. Do you want a detective shield officer? Peabody knew that she was being given the opportunity, the gift out of nowhere. She closed her eyes a moment until she had a voice under control. Yes, sir, I do. Good. You'll work your ass off for it. Get the data I requested and let's move. Right away. At the door, Peabody paused, turned back. I'm very grateful for the chance you're giving me. Don't be. You earned it, and if you screw up, I'll busk you down to traffic. Eve smiled thinly. Air traffic. All right, she does the court testimony, and then, uh, with half a laugh, Eve glanced at her companion. You're an optimist, Peabody. I wonder how long that'll last. I'm going to make a detour before we log back on. I want to get the air out of that courtroom out of my lungs. Lieutenant, you didn't need me in court today. Why was I there? If you're going after that detective shield, Peabody, you need to see what you're up against. It's not just the killers and the thieves and the cammie heads, it's the lawyers. It didn't surprise her to find the streets clogged and parking non-existent. Philosophically, Eve nosed into an illegal zone, flipped on the on-duty light. As she stepped out of the car, she gave a hustler on the sideboard a stare. He grinned, winked cheekily, then zoomed away, more conducive surroundings. This area is loaded with hustlers and dealers and off-license hookers. That's why I love it. She opened the door to the Down and Dirty Club, stepped inside to air thick with sour smells of cheap liquor and bad food. Privacy rooms lining one wall were open, airing out the musky stink of stale sex. Mavis Freestone was in an isolation booth in the back, her hair a purple fountain, two scraps of glowing silver cloth strategically wrapped around her small, sassy body. The way her mouth was moving, her lips were swelling. Eve was certain she was rehearsing one of her more interesting vocals. Eve stepped up to the glass, waiting for Mavis, rolling her eyes, circled around, and landed on her. Mavis' mouth the same searing purple as her hair, rounded in a huge O of delight. She did a fast bookie, then shoved the door open. An ear-shattering blast of screaming guitars burst out of the booth with her, and she hugged Eve. Uh, my Mavis, what was that? My new number. It's going to rock them unconscious. I believe it. You're back. Mavis gave Eve two smacking and avoidable kisses. Let's sit down. Let's have a drink. Tell me every detail. Leave nothing out. Hey, Peabody. Man, aren't you steaming in that uniform? She dragged Eve to a sticky table, punched up the menu. What do you want? It's on me. Crack pays me pretty solid for the couple of gigs a week I do here. He's going to be dredged that he missed you. Oh, I'm so glad to see you. You look terrific. You look happy. Doesn't she look terrific, Peabody? Sex is so, therapeutic, right? I love these books. I just love them. I can't help it. I just love these books. Um, so we do a lot of the stuff with Mavis. And then we have every single book these two are going to snipe at each other. Every single book, it's what they do. It takes a few books, maybe 20 or 30, for the two to actually admit they care for each other, but they thoroughly, thoroughly enjoy their sniping too. It was good to be home. Eve drove through the high iron gates that guarded the towering fortress. It was less of a shock now to glide through the curving drive through those well-tended lawns and flowering trees against the elegant stone and the glass house where she now lived. And according to Trixie Nixie Swisher, it's a castle. We will get to Survivor and Death much later down the road. Here she supposed was sanctuary, as much for Rourke as for herself. Two lost souls. She once called them that. She wondered if they'd stop being lost when they found each other. She left her car at the front entrance, knowing its battered body and tasteless shape would offend Somerset, Rourke's poker-backed butler. It was a simple matter to switch it to automatic, to send it around the house and into the slot reserved for her unit in the garage. But she enjoyed her petty needling when it came to Somerset. She opened the door and found him standing in the grand foyer with a stiff in his nose and a sneer on his lips. "Lieutenant, your vehicle is unsightly." "Hey, it's city property." She reached down to pick up the fat, odd-eyed cat who came to greet her. "You don't want it? Move it there." She heard a trill of laughter float down the hall, lifted a brow. "Company? Indeed. I suggest you bathe and change before meeting your guests. I guess you kiss my ass, too." And she meets Rourke's company. Then she gets a case. And you can see my other review for the case. Nadine, our Channel 75 reporter. Dallas, Nadine spread her pretty hands. "You bag a killer and a very public and intense case at your own bachelor party celebration, to which I was invited. It's news. The public not only has the right to know, they eat it up with a spoon. Ratings rocketed. Now look at this. You're barely back and right in the middle of something else big. What's the deal with Fitzhugh?" "He's a dead man. I've got to work, Nadine." "Come on, Eve." Nadine plucked at Eve's sleeve. "After all we've been through together, give me a nibble." "Fitzhugh's clients had better start looking for another lawyer. That's all I've got to give you." "Come on, accident, homicide, what?" "We're investigating." "Peabody?" But Peabody just grinned and shrugged shoulders. "You know, Dallas, it's common knowledge that you and the dearly departed weren't fans of each other. The top soundbite after court yesterday was referring to you as a violent cop who used her badge as a blunt instrument. It's a shame he won't be able to give you and your associates such catchy quotes anymore." As Eve slammed the car door, Nadine leaned doggedly into the window. "So you give me one. S.T. Fitzhugh is dead. Police are investigating. Back off." Eve started the engine and torpedoed out of the slot so that Nadine had to dance back to save her toes. At Peabody's chuckle, Eve slid a stony glance in her direction. "Something funny?" "I like her." Peabody couldn't resist looking back and noted that Nadine was grinning. "So do you." Eve smothered a chuckle. "There's no accounting for taste." I love Eve Dallas. I love these books. They make me smile. These are my comfort books. Later on. "Can I ask you something?" Peabody waited for Eve's nod. "You didn't care for Fitzhugh on a professional or personal level." "I hated his guts, so what?" Eve stepped off the skywalk and walked onto the street level, where she'd been lucky enough to find a parking spot. She spied a glider grill smoking soy dogs and potato rings, and made a beeline through the heavy pedestrian traffic. "You think I've got to like the corpse? Give me a couple of dogs and a scoop of potatoes, 2 tubes of Pepsi." "Diet for me," Peabody interrupted, and rolled her eyes over Eve's long, lean form. "Some of us have to worry about weight." Peabody will be worrying about her weight for 60-plus books. Lose pants, lose pants, lose pants becomes Peabody's mantra. Reg dog, reg Pepsi, hot potatoes, cash or credit. Eve shoved the limp cardboard holding her food at Peabody and dug for her tokens. What's the damage? $25. Shit, you blink and dogs are up. Eve poured credit into the woman's outstretched hands, grabbed a couple of wafer-thin napkins. She worked her way back, plopped down on the bench, circling the fountain in front of the law building. The panhandler beside her looked hopeful. Eve tapped her badge. He grinned, tapped the beggar's license around his neck. Resigned, she dug out a 5-credit chip, passed it over. Find someone else to hustle, someplace else to hustle, or I'll run that license and see if it's up to date. He said something uncomplimentary about her line of work, but he pocketed the credit and moved on. We get a very brief, we don't even get an introduction. Dallas, Dr. Morris, the medical examiner, had heavy-lidded hawk eyes in a vivid shade of green, a squared-off chin that was generally stubbed, and a black mane of charcoal hair. That's about it. That's all you get at him. But his role gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger as the series goes on. So that was his little introduction. The Ceremony and Death, that took 7 hours to upload to YouTube. 7 hours! Can you believe it? My upload speed is a 2. That's why Flashback Mondays and Star Trek and some of the other videos take hours to upload. What do they wanna? Oh, so we run into Leonardo at a music session. You look terrific. I noticed on some news clips that you wore a number of my designs. I am grateful. I am grateful, Eve said, and meant that Leonardo was a talented and emerging genius of clothing. I didn't look like Rourke's rag-picking cousin. You always look like yourself, Leonardo corrected, but he narrowed his eyes and flipped his fingers through her untidy hair. You need some work here. If you don't have it styled every few weeks, it loses its shape. I'm going to trim it up some. No, he shook his head. The days of you hacking it at yourself are over. You call Trina or have her do it. Trina. Eve is afraid of Trina. She would rather face Chemi heads of firing squad than face Trina. You have to understand that Eve was brought up in the foster care system. She had a very horrific early childhood. Then she was put into the foster care system, and she had some really horrible, despicable foster parents. Horrible, massively despicable. We will see one later, front and center, Miss Trudy Lombard. And what that woman put Eve through was hell. She literally mentally tortured the girl. So she's been through a lot. So she's not used to socialing stuff. And when we get to Holiday and Death, we will have a blast with Holiday and Death. That's the first Christmas party. I love the Christmas parties. They're the best. So, we have to catch up with FEENEY. She's working from home today. At 8 sharp, there was a brisk knock on the door. Come on in, Peabody. I'll never get used to this place, Peabody said as she walked inside. It's like something out of an old video. You should get Somerset to take you on a tour, Eve said absently. I'm pretty sure there are rooms I've never seen. There's coffee. She gestured toward the kitchen alcove and continued to frown on her logbook. Peabody wandered off, scanning the entertainment units lining the wall. Wondered what it would be like to be able to afford any amusement available. Music, art, video, holograms, VR, meditation chambers, games, play a set of tennis with the latest Wimbledon champ, dance with a hologram of Fred Astaire, or take a virtual trip to pleasure places on Regis 3. Daydreaming a bit, she turned into the kitchen. The auto chef was already programmed for coffee, so she ordered two, carried the steaming mugs into the office. She waited patiently while Eve continued to mutter. Peabody sipped her coffee. God. Oh, God. It's real. Blinking in shock, she cupped both hands reverently around the mug. This coffee is real. Yeah, you can get spoiled. I hardly stomach the slop of Cop Central anymore. Eve glanced up, caught Peabody's dazed expression, and grinned. It hadn't been so long before she had a similar reaction to Rourke's coffee, and to Rourke. Pretty great, huh? I've never had real before, as if sipping liquid gold and the depletion of the rainforest and plantations was equally dear. Peabody drank slowly. It's amazing. You have a half hour to OD on it while we work out the day's strategy. Can I have more? Peabody closed her eyes and just inhaled the scent. You're a god, Dallas. With a snort, Peabody reached for her blinking link. Dallas. Then her face lit up with a grin. Feeny, how's married life, kid? It's tolerable. Pretty early in the day for you electronic detectives, isn't it? Got a hot one working. I scrambled at the chief's office. Some joker hacked into his mainframe and nearly fried the whole system. They got in? Her eyes widened in surprise. She wasn't sure even Feeny with his magic touch could break the security on the chief of police security system. Looks that way. Tangled shit all to hell and back. I'm unnodding it. Thought I'd check in and see see what's what since I haven't heard from you. I hit the ground running. You don't know any other speed. You're primary on Fitzroy, right? And they talk about that. Then let's see. Oh, she answers the video call and forgets to block video, and she's not dressed. And Peabody is, that's a lovely dress, Lieutenant. Are you premiering a new style? Baffled, Eve looked down, then rolled her eyes. You've seen me before, Peabody. Yes, sir. They're lovely, sir. And then they talk some more. And then Rourke, with a towel around his waist, comes into view. Sir, noting that Peabody's eyes had shifted and glazed over, she glanced over her shoulder. Rourke had just walked into the room, damp from his shower, tiny beads of water glistening on his bare chest, a white towel barely hitched at his hips. Stay out of view, Rourke, will you, before my aide goes brain dead. He looked toward the communicator screen, grinned. Hello, Peabody. Hi. Even over the unit, her swallow was audible. Nice, nice to see you. I mean, how are you? Very well. And you? What? Rock. Eve heaved a sigh. Give Peabody a break, will you, or I'll have to block video. You gotta love it. 60 books later, Peabody's still doing it. Alright, so we already talked to Feeny. So we don't need that. Here we go again. She got home late and was met by Somerset at the door. "There are two gentlemen to see you, Lieutenant." With a quick jolt, she thought of the data she commandeered. "Are they wearing uniforms?" "Hardly. I put them in the front parlor. They insisted on waiting, though you had not indicated when you would arrive, and Rourke is detained at the office." "Okay, I'll handle it." She had wanted a huge plate of anything edible, a hot bath, and some time thinking. Instead, she wandered away down the parlor and found Leonardo and Jess Barrow waiting for her. Oh, okay. And he also complains to her that she has not contacted Trina yet. And she says, and Leonardo's like, "Don't worry, I'll call Trina instead for you." So he does that. Um, why did I want this? She was approaching the end of her shift when she made it back to her office and found Peabody settled at her desk, a cup of coffee in her hand. Eve leaned against the door jamb. "Comfortable, officer?" Peabody jerked, sloshed a little coffee, cleared her throat. "I didn't know your ETA. Apparently. Something wrong with your unit?" No, sir. I thought it more efficient to enter the new data directly into yours." "That's a good story, Peabody. You stick with it." She walked to her auto chef and programmed coffee for herself. It was Rourke's blend rather than the poison served in the bullpen area, which explained Peabody cozying up to her superior's desk. So then she's late again getting home. She missed dinner, which she thought was just as well, since she ended the day at the morgue viewing what was left of Cerise Devane. Even the stomach of a veteran cop could turn. And she would get nothing there, nothing at all. She doubted even Rourke's equipment could reconstruct enough of Devane to be of any help. She walked in, nearly tripped over the cat who was stretched on the threshold, and drummed up the energy to bend down and lift him. He studied her, annoyance gleaming in his bicolored eyes. "You wouldn't get kicked, pal, if you draped your fat ass somewhere else." "Lieutenant." She shifted the cat, looked over at Somerset, who, as usual, had appeared out of nowhere. "Yeah, I'm late. Give me a demerit." He didn't add his normal withering remark. He set the clips on the news channel, and he had seen her on the ledge. He'd seen her face. "You'll want dinner." "No, I don't." She headed for the stairs. "Lieutenant, a woman who steps on a ledge is either very brave or very stupid. I don't have to ask what category you put me in." "No, you don't." So you'll have to read the book to find out what she was doing on that ledge. Um. Oh, so oh, they have virtual reality goggles in this time frame that they use for relaxation. And one of her victims was using the goggles, and Eve wanted to see why the victim was using the goggles, and they were VR goggles. And the woman was having a uh, menage, so she has to confess. Um, I figured it would be some relaxing program, maybe a meditation run, your standard sea cruise or country meadow. I take it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It was a fantasy run. A sexual fantasy. Intrigued now, he folded his legs under him, cocked his head. His mouth remained sober, his Irish blue eyes bland. "Was it really?" And consisted of, well, there were these guys. Plural? Just two. She could feel the heat rising up to her throat and detested it. It was an official investigation. "Were you naked?" "Jesus, Rourke." I believe it's a perfectly reasonable question. Maybe for a minute, okay? It was the program. I had to test the program, and it wasn't all my fault. These guys were all over me, and I aborted it before. I almost. She stumbled to a guilty halt and Saw was shocked that he was grinning at her. You think it's funny, punching her fist. She punched him in the air. I've been feeling slimy all day, and you think it's funny. Before what? You aborted the program before what? Before she hit that crescendo with the fantasy guys. And she feels guilty about it all day. Oh, then, um, there's a side piece of of uh guys trying to rob a bank, but we're pushing 40 minutes here. So that is Rapture and Death. Those are my favorite moments from Rapture in Death. I will put the link in the description for my other review. If you could please go and watch that. It's in the olden days. I wasn't as organized as I am now. Hell, I'm not that organized now either. Please hit the like and subscribe. Thank you.